first off, thank you so much for joining me on here. Um, Nicole, we have been working together. This is week 5 of my consultation sessions with you. The first thing I want to start off by saying is my intention with recording this session is to create a level of transparency between myself and the people who are tracking my progress in my pursuit of setting up a health and wellness consulting service. And I feel that recording this conversation and perhaps future ones would be a great opportunity for people to see how I'm helping you and the developments that still need to occur in my own setup of my business and how I'm distributing the service that I plan on fine tuning over time. So it's still a work in progress, and you have been a huge help in helping me to understand the type of value that I can provide to future clients once we actually are really in that process of that flow. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce Nicole Parvashahi, a wonderful friend of mine and also partner and fiance to Vito Angelino Cayeve, who was my first guest on the first episode of my podcast, The Apex Frequency. So yeah, let's jump into it. Let's just pretend that this is week 5 of the consulting session. And how have things been since I last spoke to you?
So, things have been fantastic. As you could probably remember, last week when we spoke, I was telling you that I was going into like a little mini staycation out in Palm Springs with Landon. So, I told you that I was gonna meal prep, pack my food, pack my snacks, pack all of that stuff so that so that I could make sure that I was in my caloric budget, that I was eating what I needed to eat, which that went fantastic. I will say that one of the nights I did have a slice of pizza and a few nacho chips, but kind of going back to what we were discussing with during week 4, where I was telling you that now it feels more of a lifestyle change. Like I'm really thinking about, okay, what am I going to do today? What is my week going to look like? What is it that I'm going to eat? So I did save for my calories to have a slice of pizza and a little bit of nachos. But I think like my mind frame now is, you know, um, I mean, and I've always thought of dieting as, you don't really have to have full restrictions of something. You don't have to cut something out. Like you can always have a little taste, a little sample. But like my mindset is set a goal of what your sample is. You know, if I'm going to have pizza, okay, let me think. How much pizza can I afford to eat? Or how much pizza do I really want to eat? Because at this point, just thinking of eating things that aren't really on the healthier side or aren't really nutrient dense or, are higher in calories. In my head, I'm thinking, I really don't want to eat that. I'd rather just sample it and say I'm good, type of thing. So yeah, going back to week 4, talking about like, I feel like it's already embedded as a lifestyle change. That's exactly what I feel like. I had told Landon, look, we can, because we went to this resort that had like a pool, an arcade, a water slide, whatever. And I told him, look, we can do whatever you want, but the only thing that I want to do is work out. I want to work out every day. And yes, you sure heck know that I was up at 6:30 in the morning, going to the gym, worked out 5 days last week. And, it felt great. It felt amazing. My brother and sister-in-law did join us. My brother was there the entire time we were there. My sister-in-law a couple of days, and they went to the gym with me as well. So I felt like that was motivation. I'm the one who set the alarm. I'm the one who woke everybody up. But it was like I felt like it was like my duty. Like they were relying on me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that accountability and that responsibility made it easier for me to wake up and get up and go to the gym. And it did help that I had other people out there who wanted to go with me, and Landon even joined us at the gym on one of the days. So it was good. It felt good. everything, kind of fell into place. Like I was making sure that I was counting all of my calories and just kind of thinking, okay, you know, do I really need to eat this? Do I really need to drink this? Kind of having more of that mindset.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that week went fantastic. I came back, a pound lighter. Who could say that you went on vacation and dropped a pound?
Yeah.
So that was really, really motivating. Fast forward to now,
Mm-hmm.
because it was like what, 9 days ago that we checked in.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to now, I do feel like I am plateauing. I haven't lost any weight since I think it was Saturday. Yeah, I haven't lost any weight since Saturday or Sunday. Doing my measurements, I did my measurements and I'm kind of like maintained. Some areas I'm up like a fourth of an inch, some areas I'm down a fourth of an inch. And I will say that normally this would have been more discouraging.
Mm-hmm.
But working with you, kind of just changing my mindset, kind of like how you had mentioned, weight isn't everything, hence why I'm doing also the measurements and things like that. But it's, now my mindset, instead of being discouraged and being like, oh my gosh, like the whole week that I was in Palm Springs, I lost a pound. And now,
Mm-hmm.
fast forward 3, 4 days with me not eating, excessive or going beyond my caloric budget or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, like what's going on? Like, why is it that I'm plateauing? And instead of it being discouraging, I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to change in my routine? What is it that I need to do with my workouts? What is it that I need to do with my diets? And I've kind of been realizing that with my workouts, because I don't know if you remember, but I was on this 6 week plan on one of my fitness apps, and this is literally the start of week 6
Mm-hmm.
on that fitness plan app, and I noticed that the workouts are getting a lot easier. So it's like, and one example I gave to my sister-in-law was, when I do my push-ups, I do them on my knees, but when I first started that workout plan, like, they're like, okay, 20 more seconds. And when they're like 10 more seconds, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Right.
But the last time that I did the push-ups while we are in Palm Springs, I pushed through. Yes, I was still on my knees, but I didn't stop at the 10 seconds. Like, oh, it's only 10 more seconds. So what I was thinking about incorporating was because I'm going to do another 6 week plan with like it's called the slim down plan, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
also going to do a second plan that incorporates more cardio and hit. So it's like I'm telling you, like my mindset now has changed. Like, okay, I've reached this part of my journey. How can I amp it up?
Absolutely. Well,
But
that's
yeah,
amazing.
thank you.
I always look forward to talking to you because one thing that has always stuck with me is how I presented to you the concept of looking at the types of situations that you find yourself in when it comes to your weight loss journey as obstacles, and just the way that you ran with that concept. And now you're just constantly in problem solving mode. So the things that make me look forward to speaking with you is just listening to the problems that you've encountered in the week that we haven't met, and then just hearing how you went about them, how you actually solved the issues that you were faced with. So it sounds like you're still on that track, which is phenomenal. When it comes to the specific fact that you haven't lost weight in 4 days, you said?
Yeah, I think it was 3 or 4 days because I can't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday.
Hmm. So I'd like to stick with that for a second. And I love your perspective on it already off the get-go. But for a second, I'd like to sort of assess those 4 days that you haven't lost weight. For one, the one thing to keep in mind is I feel that it's time to start getting concerned after, let's say, 7 days pass. and you haven't lost any weight. Because every individual walking around above, let's say, 10% body fat, if they are on a caloric deficit, then they should be losing weight on a consistent enough basis, at least on a basis enough that you're able to track week to week. Now, don't get me wrong, if you are doing weight training and you're spending time in the gym for the purpose of building muscle mass, then it's possible for you to gain weight in the first couple of days because your body is building muscle mass and it's not really losing as much weight as it should be, or as the scale would reflect, because you might still be losing fat, but you're also gaining muscle at the same time, which is why it would look like a plateau on the scale. So the first thing I want to clarify is, when it comes to your workouts, have you been doing any weight training, or has it still been the same app that you've been using, such as it gives you the planned workout schedule, or are you doing something outside of that?
So in Palm Springs, because I was going to the gym, I was doing the app workout, and then I was hitting the machines with the weights.
Okay. Okay. Um, when it came to the machines with the weights, break it down from like what kind of exercises were you doing?
So one day I focused on lower body. So I was doing leg press, the leg press machine, the
Okay.
abductor machine, the adductor machine. And I think that's it for that. And then another day I was focusing on upper body. So I did like the reverse flies or whatever, the deltoid one, the chest press, um, the TRX system, and then like the one that has what's it called, the cables.
Oh
the,
yeah. Yeah, the rope, or the cable.
the cables, yeah, where it's like you're pulling it, and I was doing like different bicep
Okay,
um
got it. I think that's a
exercise.
Pilates machine, if I'm not mistaken. What it sounds like you're describing, but I'm on the same page with you. Okay, and on those specific days, your caloric deficit was still in the same ballpark.
Mhm.
Are you what is the number that you are capping yourself at when it comes
For
to
my
how many?
calories.
Yeah,
So it really depends. So if I'm not working out, then I mean it's really low.
I know.
So I
I
don't
don't.
want people, because I don't want, so like I don't want people to, take my numbers and think like, okay, like I can do this, because just as a disclaimer, like I've been, doing calorie deficits and different diets for like a long time. And
Mhm.
I know how to listen to my body. And I know when, my body is saying like, hey, you're not having enough calories, you're not having enough nutrients. And then I adjust it according to that. And then because that's kind of what I had to do. Or if I do kind of overeat, like we were talking about last week or a couple weeks ago, it's like I listen to my body, and then I'll just have that one meal when I'm actually hungry. So fast until like I'm actually hungry. But so
Okay.
so that's the disclaimer. So no
Okay.
judgment. But
Yeah.
so when I'm not working, so on days that I don't work out, I eat between 700 to 1,000 calories.
Okay.
But if my body feels a little bit weaker, which usually it doesn't during those days because I'm not working
Mhm.
out,
Mhm.
then I might go up to 1,200. But on days that I work out, I do between 1,200 and 1,500 calories, but mostly sticking to the 1,200
Mhm.
unless I feel hungry for some reason. And it's more so. So I give myself like a 300 calorie like leeway,
Mhm.
so that in case I get hungry, or in case a meal is more calories than I expected, or something like that.
Okay, I love that. Those are great numbers. I've played around with looking at how these like calorie tracking apps um, designate the amount of calories that women in your age range and body type and things of that nature, um, they total like 1,200 for on average, which I
Mhm.
think is like, wow, 1,200 calories? That's not a lot. So I commend you for hitting that. Um, Okay, so it sounds like you're in the recommended area of how many that you should be eating. So if I were to recommend anything, it would be, and like I said, you've already, before I even started speaking, you've already come up with your own ideas as to how to properly strategize. And I would say, yeah, definitely more cardio. Um, Now, there's two ways of going about this. Personally, on my end, I do a lot of low intensity cardio. And my understanding is that low intensity cardio targets the fat stores in your body because you're not going to a certain threshold where you're activating the glycogen in your body. So glycogen is what you get from carbohydrates. So carbs are like the body's main source of energy, and it's used for short, intense activity, like bursts of energy. So if you're sprinting or if you're doing something that's above the threshold of what we call zone 2 cardio. So that's basically anything that you're no longer able to speak at a conversational level or pace or tone. So running for a long duration of time and you can't really, you're out of breath. That's above zone 2, and you're tapping into your glycogen stores. Now, the thing is, after you finish, yeah, you're going to burn calories with that high level of, activity. However, you're going to have to replenish those calories because you're tapping into your glycogen. Now, when it comes to low intensity cardio, such as being on a stationary bike or you're on a treadmill, and my favorite form of low intensity cardio is an incline treadmill, where I put it at, like, let's say, obviously treadmills vary, but I put it at like a 7.5 incline, put it to 3.5 miles per hour pace, or maybe 4. That's just for me. You can obviously moderate it to your comfortability, but you want to get to a spot where you're just at the highest point where you're still able to maintain a conversation. And within 30 to 45 minutes of that pace, you're sweating and you feel the activity. You're just not going beyond that threshold. Now, when you are in that zone 2 cardio, as it's referred to, your body is not tapping into the glycogen stores. Instead, it's tapping into the fat stores. So, and that's the whole goal, is to lose fat. So that would be my recommendation, is low intensity cardio moving forward. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a lot of benefit from like HIIT, high intensity short intervals. I can't remember what the acronym for that is, because it burns a lot of calories, and calories in, calories out. There is a method to that, but for the long haul and for the highest level of consistency, the scientific approach, my recommendation would be low intensity. You could try both, but cardio in general, it sounds like that would be your best bet to address the plateau that you might be experiencing. Yeah. Cool. Cool. So what do you have coming up this week?
So I was supposed to be in Minnesota, which I'm glad that got canceled because of the storm. So the meetings that we were supposed to have there are now all virtual. So I was excited because I'm like, okay, yay, I get to be home. I get to, do my meals, do my exercise, do my regimen. I did take a longer break from exercise than I wanted to, because the last day that I had worked out was Friday. And then the first day this week that I worked out was Tuesday. Yeah, because today's Wednesday. So I did take a little bit longer of a break, but I've already have it planned out for the rest of the week to work out. So, doing my 5 days. I feel for me, when I'm planning my week, of course, thinking about, okay, what is it that I'm going to eat? Do I have anything at home? If I'm traveling for my trainings and things like that, looking up like healthier options, or places that have calorie counts on them. But then also, my goal is to work out 3 to 5 days a week. And these past either 2 or 3 weeks, I've been working out 5 days a week, which I've been very, very proud of myself. And I feel like because I'm planning out the week and I'm thinking in my head, okay, I didn't work out Sunday, Monday, so that already knocks out the 2 days that I, probably would have taken off this week. So I've definitely like this morning, I got up early before my meetings to work out because I knew Vito was going to go play ball at the gym, and he was doing it around the time that we were going to speak. So once again, I'm usually not a morning person. I usually don't like waking up to work out
Mm,
unless there's a purpose that I really need to get up. So I've been very proud of myself. So I feel like that's like my mindset right now for the week is, okay, your priority is working out because you have no fluff days for
mm,
the rest of the week.
I love that.
So that's pretty much my week. So tomorrow we're working out with you. Friday I'm home. So whenever Vito goes to work, I'm gonna work out. And then Saturday, um, I'm home again. So, I'll probably work out in the morning.
I love it. I love it. Um, you bring up a couple of things to mind that I would love to talk openly with you about, just because I see that perhaps this topic could provide value to anyone who's listening who has similar aspirations as myself or you. But before I jump into that, one thing that's occurring to me is uh, my understanding of you is you are really detail oriented, and you utilize numbers when it comes to being able to track your calories, which is not something that everyone is really willing to do when it comes to achieving a weight loss goal. Some people are just more comfortable with, oh, I want to lose weight. Tell me how to lose weight. And if I were to tell them, oh, okay, well, the best way to go about it is tracking your calories and getting a calorie tracker app on your smartphone and doing yada, yada, yada. Not everyone's interested in that. However, with that being said, you're the type of person who uses all of your resources when it comes to achieving a certain goal. So one thing I wanted to say to you real quick before I switch gears is when it comes to, like, if you continue, because I'm thinking about the plateau. If you continue to experience a plateau after making the adjustments, incorporating more cardio into your daily exercise routine, which I think should help. 20,000 steps is a great number to aim for. 20,000 steps, my understanding is that every 10,000 steps burns 500 calories. So 20,000 burns 1,000 calories. And again, it translates to the pace, the effort, the incline, things of that nature, how much your body is being activated. So the more difficult it is, the better results. So if that doesn't work, like let's say we touch base a week from now and you've stayed the same weight, my next suggestion, because you are a fan of getting more statistics and data, is taking a DEXA scan. And the cool thing about a DEXA scan is it's a measurement that gets your body fat percentage, gets your weight, gets your height. But one thing it also does is it tells you your resting metabolic rate. And your resting metabolic rate is, well, you're a nurse, so you already know this, but just for anyone who doesn't know, resting metabolic rate basically informs you as to how many calories you are burning when you are not active. So on a 24-hour basis, it tells you the amount of calories. If you're just sitting in your bed or on the couch for 24 hours, your body is burning this amount of calories. Now, with that specified number, you would be able to look at that and take 500 calories off of it. And again, when it comes to losing weight on a calorie deficit, you want to subtract 500 calories from how much calories you're burning, and that's how you achieve a pound of fat loss per week. So that would be my next suggestion, and I think that would be pretty informative. You could still do it even if you aren't plateauing a week from now, just because more data is more data. Okay, great. I'm glad that we got there. Before we switch gears and we kind of go off into a separate direction outside of the week-to-week updates, do you have any questions, concerns, comments that you would like to bring up while we're still in this consulting mode?
Um, the only thing is, I feel like I'm motivating Vito a little bit more because I know
Hmm.
that that was one of the obstacles that I had um mentioned to you earlier, like in week one. So that I think is helping me be, I guess, stronger with him, in regards to him, saying like, oh, do you want this cookie, or do you want to go out to eat, or do you want to do this or whatnot. So I find that that's making it easier, because even though we discussed about, like, let him know that you're doing this for us, that it's like when it's in the moment, it's harder for me to be like, no, like, let's not do it. But I definitely have become stronger on that point. And I just
Right.
wanted to thank you for that, because it's like, okay, like, hey, you can do what you want to do. If you want to, drink your kombucha and, eat and munch out, that's on you. But it's like I said, just thinking about eating like something unhealthy, it's like I'm good. Because like we had cookies that my cousin had given us, because we uh, purchased them through her daughter's fundraiser, and for Christmas, and she barely gave it to us like 2 days ago. And I was just like, okay, well, if you want to eat the cookies, go ahead and eat the cookies. Um, but I will admit, like, I did sample the cookies. But I did, because we had like 4 or 5 bags, and they're like mini cookies. I looked at the serving size, um, and I just had like one cookie of each, because my calories could afford it. But the first day I didn't, because my calories couldn't afford it. But after I knew what it was, and hey, you know what? I want to sample these, then my calories could afford it, kept to those, and then that was it. So yeah, so hopefully Vito's a little bit more motivated and, kicking those gears.
That is so impressive. I truly, I so commendable. I honestly think what you're doing, what you're able to do is really impressive. I'm having a similar situation where, um, I believe, I'm aiming for 5% body fat, and I'm probably weeks away, but this is the leanest I've been in 6 months. And as I continue to get leaner and leaner, I'm still aware of, like, my body still craves sugar. It craves glucose in the simplest form. So I actually make conscious decisions to allow myself to eat like chocolate, or that's a perfect example. Just like if there's chocolate like lying on the counter and it's up for grabs, I factor that into the calorie budget, and I allow myself to eat it, as opposed to restricting myself from it. And it feels more like, all right, well, why? You know? And I guess that's the thing I run into. Like, if I know, if you have the math, you have the data, and you have the calories right in front of you, and you're able to calculate all of this, then there really is no point in restricting yourself from it. There is one thing that I'm a big fan of, and I might have even mentioned it to you, is like the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the food that you eat on a daily basis is healthy. Like, it's high in nutrition. A lot of people preach single ingredient foods when it comes to that 80% of your diet consisting of. So it's like, anything that you can purchase at a grocery store that has one ingredient on it, that's the type of stuff that you should be eating for the bulk of your nutrition throughout the day. And then when you get to that 20% left on your caloric budget, that's the opportunity where you've hit all your nutritional needs. You've hit your amount of protein that you need for the day, and the carbohydrates, and your fat, and your vitamin A, and your calcium and fiber, and all that potassium and wonderful things that you really do need, that your body needs. Now that you've done that, take that last 200 calories and, spend it on, and it's like an allowance,
Mhm.
so in a way that you're satisfying your own craving, and you're still falling in line with, your caloric budget. And I think that's so cool that you're able to be so disciplined in actually executing that. And that's actually the thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Um, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to phrase this, because one thing that I've been commending you and commenting on since we've started this from week one is how your mentality has changed and evolved over time just by setting yourself to the task of this weight loss journey. And I would love to kind of take a peek into your psychology if we can go back to week one or even before then. And if you could walk me through how your mind has changed when applied to this specific goal that you have in mind for yourself. I would love to just hear how it started and how it got to where you are now, where you're able to be as disciplined as you are, maneuver the world around you in the way that you do, such as with your partner, with the events that you go to, where there's like, the food is already preset. There's a preset menu. I would just love to hear how you actually got there, where you can do what you do.
No, yeah, definitely. So before doing this journey,
Hmm.
I've I've done different diets. I've done keto, I've done calorie deficits, I've done, all these. I tried paleo, that wasn't for me. But all these different diets, and what I have found that worked for me, like you said, is numbers, because numbers just keep me on track. Like, yes, with keto, you're tracking, you know, the protein, the grams of protein, the grams of carbs, the grams of fat. But and when I was on keto, that worked amazing for me. But I was home, I had a routine. My work was, from 10 to 6, I was able to do my 16-hour fast and things like that. But jumping into this job that I've had for almost 2 years now, where I'm traveling, I'm on the road, I can't just meal prep a whole keto meal for 2, 3, 5 days, take it with me on a plane, things like that. Um, I had gained, 30 pounds because I wasn't working out. I couldn't find a good diet regimen. I was exhausted from going on flights or driving 3, 4 hours, things like that. And even though, on my travel days, I would stay at a hotel and the hotel has a gym, it was like, I was just too exhausted to even go to the gym, even
Hmm.
if it was for going on the treadmill for 10 minutes. I was like,
Right.
no, I'd rather just lay in bed, do my work. And that was another thing, is that, my work, it's not just like a 9 to 5, like, oh, 5 o'clock I clock out and that's it. It's like, no, I was, working till like 10 p.m. some days, traveling up at like 5 a.m. to catch a flight at 7 a.m. and, all of that. And what really kind of gave me this push this time around, because, I've been on, like my ups and downs, where it's like I'll lose weight, keep it off for like a month, and then, gain it back. And I will tell you that my mentality back then, which I see that is different now, is that back then it's like I would lose weight. I could lose like 10, 15 pounds in like a month to 2 months span. And, when I would hop on the scale, then I'd see like, oh, maybe I gained a pound, maybe I gained half a pound, 2 pounds. It's like, oh, it's only a pound, it's only 2 pounds. By the time I gained 5 pounds, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to hop on the scale anymore. It's like,
Mm.
let me just not hop on the scale. And, it didn't help the fact that, I have a partner who loves to eat and who loves to go out and try new restaurants, new desserts, the biggest sweet tooth ever. And, obviously, I'm not putting the blame on him, because it's like I'm my own person. I could say no. But, going out and having those moments with him or enjoying those foods with him kind of led us to where we had gained weight. But then before starting this job, I did start losing weight, because I go through those motions where it's like I just don't feel sexy in my own skin.
Hmm.
And, once my pants start fitting, where I'm having that muffin top and, looking at pictures and not really liking how I look. Because I know when we initially, when I initially filled out that consultation form, I'm not necessarily going for like a certain weight, even though I put a weight down. I'm going more so to what I feel good in, and I know I had said like no muffin top because that's what I feel good in. Like I don't necessarily need to be super, super thin or super, super athletic. I just want to feel healthy. I want to look healthy and I want to just, feel good about myself. So, I started my weight loss journey before this job. I was doing my 16-hour fast with that job. Once again, it was easier to do because it was, consistent 10 to 6. And I would walk to work actually 3 to 4 days a week. And I worked 3 miles away from my house.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
was getting my steps in. Sometimes I would even like go to the gym because I had my gym membership. This was before COVID, had my gym membership. Sometimes on my way home, stop by the gym, things like that. So it was like I had a good routine going because
Mm-hmm.
as long as I was consistent and as long as I could say, okay, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm waking up, walking to work, going to the gym afterwards, and it was a routine, I was able to follow it just like how I'm planning things out now in my head about my week. Um, but then starting this job, it's like, I could be off on a Monday, but next week I'm working, out of
Right.
state three
Yeah.
days in a row. We
Yeah.
were talking about my events and things like that. And I had gained 30 pounds from when I initially started this job.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was really discouraging to me because um, there's three things that I use to kind of keep track of, if I'm getting bigger or not. One now is my ring. Like if it feels a little tight, I'm like, oh, I'm gaining weight. But
Same
if it
thing.
feels loose,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
okay, like it's good. The other thing is my Fitbit watch.
Mm.
I'm I'm in between. Well, now I'm in between. I'm consistently 7 holes in. But before it was like I was between 6 and 7. And at one point it was like consistent 6.
Mm.
And so, so every time I put my Fitbit watch on, I always count the holes to
Mm-hmm.
see because sometimes I'm like, am I at the 8? Am I at the 8 yet? But
That's
so
awesome.
that's the second thing that I kind of help to keep track if I'm not able to, keep stepping on the scale. But now I don't really have that problem. But and then the third thing was my scrubs because like I could really feel it because I usually start gaining weight in my hips. And it's like, oh, if my scrub pants are feeling a little tight around that area, I'm like, oh man, like I don't want to get a bigger pant size.
Right. Right.
So those were like the three things that I was just like, okay, this is what's helping me realize like, hey, Nicole, you're really gaining a lot of weight. Like your ring's barely fitting you. You're going to the sixth hole. Your scrub pants are fitting big. So what started this journey was just, I didn't want to keep going down that path. And my excuse a lot of the times was, well, I don't have time. My schedule's not consistent.
Mm.
I I'm landing in Charlotte at 9 p.m. and all I want to do is grab something quick to eat at the airport or
Right.
order, fast food to be delivered to my room.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was making so many different excuses, which it was like, well, Nicole, then figure something out, like do something about it. And so I did start the journey a little bit before actually starting with you because like I said, I'm on week 6. So I guess I started like literally a week before coming to you to sign up for your consultant program. But it was like, I just had enough. And people think like, oh, it's because the wedding's coming up, like you're doing it for the wedding. And no, it just happens to coincide with,
Mm-hmm.
my wedding coming up. But that wasn't really the reason. The reason was because I just felt like I was just gaining weight, gaining weight, gaining weight. And it was like, okay, well, Nicole, if you don't change anything now, like you're just going to keep gaining weight.
Right.
So it was, my sister-in-law put me on the Fit On app, which I absolutely love. I've been using my Fitness Pal to track my calories since like forever, since like 2015 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my Fitbit to, monitor like my steps and stuff like that when I do go out for a walk. But what I will say, and this is something that I discussed with you last week, um, is that first week when we were discussing the obstacles, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and seeing what we can do to overcome them. I thought I was in a certain mindset because you told me, because my one of my biggest complaints was when I go to these events that are from Thursday to Sunday, I don't have time to, order a healthier meal, or, I don't pack my food for that long, And one of the things you told me is, get a scale that you can take with you. And I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? I can do that. I can measure my food. And you had even warned me, like, are you really going to feel comfortable, measuring your food? Which I did in a certain setting. But when it was like the reception and there's everybody's there and the food is out buffet style, it was like, okay, well, first of all, I only have like 7 minutes to grab food and eat it because I was
Mm-hmm.
like on a working lunch dinner type of thing. And second, it was like, I don't have the time to grab my little scale, even though it's a little travel scale. I don't have the time to grab my scale and measure everything out, put it in my calorie counter. So that made me realize, okay, Nicole, you think you have the plan, but you have to be really open minded to, hey, there are some things that you need to change. So, bringing that up to you during like week 2, how it was like, oh no, because no, it's week 2. I hadn't gone to my event. I think it was week 3.
Yes. Yeah.
It was, yeah, week 3, and bringing that up. Like I felt good coming into week 2, and then week 3, I remember telling you like, oh my gosh, I absolutely failed. I did not count any calories other than my lunch.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
overdid it. I drank too much, like, whatever. But it's like you really helped me realize that, like, that it is a real lifestyle change. Like you have to learn to adjust to your environment, but you also need to realize what your obstacles really are. And I'm that type of person. I'm completely honest with myself. I
Mm-hmm.
won't say like, oh yeah, I could work out 5 days a week if I know that I'm not going to be able to work out 5 days a week. Hence why I set my goal 3 to 5 days, not because I want my minimum to be 3 days, but I'm realistic on how hectic my schedule can be. And can I really work out those full 5 days a week?
Right.
Yes, I'll push myself to the 5 days, but I won't be so hard on myself if I don't. And that's another thing that I remember you telling me, I think like in week 2 or 3, where it's like when people want to have like, when people want to celebrate their weight loss or their goals, it's like they do it in like a cheat day type of way, saying like, okay, like
Oh yeah.
I deserve to eat this
Mm-hmm.
because I lost this weight.
Mm-hmm.
But you made me change my mindset on like, you know what? No, my reward is that I keep going because, hey, it's been a month. And I feel like that's what my mindset was before. Oh, it's been a month. I've lost 10 pounds. Like I could, slack off a little bit, but
Right.
it's like, no, like you can't because you're not to your goal yet. And one day of slacking off can domino effect to multiple days. But now I'm in that mindset of, hey, you know what? Because I'm not perfect, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you know what? You went over your calories, but listen to your body. Like how I told you, like, oh, I can't fast for like too long because then I get nauseous and whatnot. It's like, hey, but I'm listening to my body. So if I overate the day before and I'm not hungry until 5 p.m., guess what? I'm eating at 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
instead of, oh, it's breakfast time, let me eat. No, if so I've learned to really listen to my body. And that's why I was saying, with my the calorie counts that I'm doing, it's like I listen to my body. If I feel like I need to go on the higher end, I will. If I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I need to be at a deficit because like my calorie reserves from the day before
Right.
are lasting me, half a day or longer, then that's what I'm doing. So kind of how I was telling you last week, like I feel like that first week was about identifying those obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
and seeing how you can overcome them. Then that second week was the changes that you've incorporated, that we've discussed, did they work?
Mm-hmm.
If they worked, okay, let's continue with that. Because
Mm-hmm.
like I still take my my food scale with me. And when it's possible, I will measure out my food. So it's like, did it work? Okay, something didn't work. Let's see what we can do to change it so that it can work. And then that week 3, like I said, I had that little bit of moment of, oh man, like it was a horrible week last week.
Right.
But it's like, hey, don't let that, make the rest of the week or this next upcoming week a bad week. No, like it's okay. Cause that's what I feel like. And I guess that's why when I plateaued, my mindset wasn't like, man, I did all this work for this whole month and this week I'm not losing anything. It's no, it's okay. Let's just figure out what we can do to make it work. So I feel like week 3 was like my realization, like it's okay, but
Mm-hmm.
don't continue. Don't keep, being down and out on yourself. No, treat it as a new day and work towards that goal again instead of letting it kind of linger on. And then I feel like week 4 really allowed me to realize, like, okay, this is a lifestyle change. Like I've completed it, because I remember telling you last week, like, you know, I was like all excited, the first week, the second week, like, oh my gosh, like let's get this done. And now it's more like, okay, this is my lifestyle. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm consciously making the decisions to work towards my goal. Cause I remember week 3, like, yeah, maybe I think I had like a I wasn't on my calories 100%, but I knew how to fix it, or I knew what changes I needed to make so that it could, bring me back to where I needed to be.
Right.
And then my trip Palm Springs last week, it was like a breeze. Like, like I said, one slice of pizza, a couple of nachos, like it wasn't like I was craving these foods. And, there was, what was it? There was something I think that Landon got or my brother got that I just wanted to taste it. So I just took a little thing just to taste it. And it was like, okay, like I'm good. I tasted it. That's completely fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, the first 4 weeks, it was more so about identifying those obstacles, seeing what you need to do to overcome them, and then really incorporate it as a lifestyle. And then I feel like these next upcoming weeks is, Nicole, can you really maintain this? Because
Yeah.
like I said in the past, after a month, oh, okay, like I've lost a pound, or I've lost how many pounds, and I can cheat a little bit, but it's like I don't have that desire to splurge, or to have those cheat days or those
Mm-hmm.
cheat meals or whatnot. So I definitely feel like I'm in like a really, really good mindset where it's like I want to eat healthy, I want to stay in my calorie range, I want to work out. Like I think yesterday Vito was like, because I made sure like 5 times on Monday, we're working out when you come home, right? We're working out when you come home. Because if we're not working out when you come home, like I'll work out in the morning. And then he comes home from work and he's like kind of tired. And I'm like, we're still working out, right? Like we're still going to the gym, right? So it's more of me making sure that I'm doing what I need to do and not letting also others affect what I'm doing. So, like this morning, like I said, I knew he was working out in the evening, going to go play ball. So, I worked out in the morning so that I would be able to get
Right.
what I needed to get done.
Yeah. I love it. You are a prime client. You're amazing. Um, Couple of things that popped up in my head while you were speaking, and I almost feel, and one thing I do want to make clear is that you're providing a tremendous service for me, as this is the first month of the new year, 2023, and on my end, this year is all about the transition from my day job into this actually being a business that I'm able to finance. Like I'm able to become self-financed, and this is the future for me. And even while listening to you speak, I'm even getting ideas as to certain buzzwords that popped in my head were routine, your desire to implement a routine that you can adhere to, that allows you to hit your specific goals in mind. And from that routine, still maintaining a level of adaptability in the event where you don't have an option to keep to the routine that you have set in place for yourself. And then the best way to allow for adaptability is to plan ahead. So those three things kind of popped in my head as you were speaking. So it's like we start with the routine, and moving forward, my whole concept is providing as much value as I can for this consulting service. So I'm already thinking out loud that I want to be able to provide nutrition and fitness routines for future clients. So I can tell them, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can eat this on Monday, this on Tuesday, this on Wednesday, and you stick to this routine. And when it comes to your workouts, you do this on Monday, this on Tuesday, and you stick to this routine. And then from there, just from talking to you right now, being able to remain adaptable in the event of, okay, we have a planned work trip that takes us to Idaho, and I don't know what the menu is, and I'm not going to be able to eat out. So, all right, let's plan ahead for that. What can we do to adapt to the situation that exists outside of this routine? So that makes me excited because it helps me further understand what it is that I'm able to provide, such as the value of this consulting service. But I mean, you've outlined it so clearly just in relaying your experience from week one to now, and even your mindset and the psychology as to how you made decisions leading up to even working with me. So fantastic. Yeah, thank you. This is why I wanted to record this, as you can see, because you're already giving me ideas.
Um, of course, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But one thing I did forget to mention is that I think what helped me really stay on track is the is you, because I remember telling you, I feel like it's important that somebody holds you accountable for what your goals are or what you want to do. And I remember telling you that, with Vito, like he loves me no matter what. If I gain
Mm-hmm.
20 pounds, if I lose 20 pounds, he's always telling me, like, you're so sexy, like, I love your body, all of these things. But it's hard with him to feel like, you know, he can hold me accountable to my journey because he's not strict on this regimen.
Mm-hmm.
He's not, and I'm not saying like, oh, he's not like, oh, you need to lose weight. It's just that if I want to eat, I want to eat. If
Mm-hmm.
I want to work out, then he'll let me work out. If I don't want to work out, he's not pushing me. So I feel like with you, and I mentioned this to you early on, is, yes, you're a friend, but or yes, you're the consultant, but you're a close enough friend where it's like, I don't want to let you down.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like in my mind, it's like, okay, like Vito doesn't care if, I succeed or I fail. But with you, it's like you are showing me that you're working, helping me work towards my goal. So it's like if you're giving me all of these advice or, all of these suggestions and, on how to improve, and, I'm not really taking it seriously, then it's like, oh man, like I'm just wasting your time, because that's one
Yeah.
thing for me. I hate people wasting my time, so it's like, okay, like I'm wasting your time. And it's like, I feel like not so much like, oh, I would disappoint you, but it's more so I don't want to waste your time and you're holding me accountable, because I know that I've paid for like other services before, and I've told you, a trainer at the gym, like if I really didn't feel motivated, then I'm not going, I'll lose
Right.
out on money,
Right.
you know. But it's like with you, I know that if I skip out or if I'm not reaching my goals, even if I were to avoid you and not do our check-ins,
Mm-hmm.
which I truly appreciate, it's like I would see you, hanging out someday, type of
Right.
thing. I had even
Right.
mentioned about that other program that I was in, and because I really didn't like the health coach, because she wasn't really, I feel like she wasn't really working with what my obstacles were. I
Mm-hmm.
just stopped, I just stopped communicating with her. I just dropped her. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm good. So I definitely feel like this accountability with doing this, hence why I'm like, okay, yeah, let's continue, like really is helping me to motivate me and to stay on track. So I definitely like other than the recommendations and the suggestions and the advice that you're giving me, like the accountability portion I feel is very, very, very huge for me. And just like bringing that excitement, like, oh, like I lost weight or I lost inches, or you know hey, I know I plateaued, but what is it that we can do to get me back on track, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is. But yeah.
That's fantastic. Um, Wondering out loud, I'm hoping that I'll be able to, because one thing that you did say is that we are close friends, and because we're close friends, there is a higher stake when it comes to not meeting your obligations, such as, like, if you were to cancel a check-in, and then like, oh, you kind of went off the deep end and went on the surplus for the past week, and that you're going to run into me at some point because I spend a lot of time with Vito and stuff like that. So just on my end, I hope to create a level of connection with my future clients where they can still feel that urgency to live up to their obligations when it comes to, if you're reaching out to me, and you gave me the fantastic idea of offering an 8-week minimum service, and that's something that I actually do want to implement in my package, is 8 weeks. So hopefully I can create a level of accountability where my future clients want to continue for the duration of the 8 weeks and not fail themselves and not fail me at the same time. Another thing that I wanted to ask you, just as we come to a close, is my whole concern, or not even concern, but the thing that I always think about when it comes to achieving any goal that's quote unquote hard, when it comes to like hitting your ideal body weight, or getting your dream job, or doing something that's difficult or it's outside of your comfort zone. My whole thing is, I feel that people quit when the going gets tough. And my idea so far as my consulting service is concerned, and ultimately it's supposed to go beyond health and wellness. My idea is to help people achieve their dreams in all aspects of life. And the platform, or the mission statement, is to get individuals to perceive their dreams as more attainable than originally perceived. So the question I want to ask you is this, how difficult do you feel that this journey is? Yeah, let's ask that question.
Well, I mean, kind of going back to what I said when, when I started this job, it was like I felt like there was nothing that I could do to get on track. Because before now, within these 2 years, like, yeah, I tried and, you know, probably succeeded for about a week, but then fell off just because, different events came up. But so I will say that this definitely, finding this routine, finding this balance, finding, how to work with this type of job and this lifestyle was a pretty difficult one, because it's like everything that I knew, everything that I was used to, it was like, nope, it's completely, turned upside down. So I definitely see that with discussing the obstacles with you and working out game plans and strategies and ways to overcome it, like I definitely felt like, okay, I'm not alone. Despite you, probably not having the same experience as I'm having with this job, it was like you were willing and are still willing to think outside of the box with me. Because it's like, yes, I might think like, oh, I have an idea of how I can work this, or I have an idea of, what I could do. But then it's like, okay, well, my idea failed. So what's next?
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
it's like, kind of seeing an outsider's perspective, and whether your suggestion, helped or whether it didn't, it was like, okay, let's regroup
mm-hmm.
and let's see how we could tackle this. So I definitely can see how you really can expand this to allowing people to attain their dreams, attain their goals. Because, like you said, when things get tough, that's when people quit. But the thing is that if you have somebody who's like, hey, okay, look, you might think that this is a difficult situation, but let's look at it from this side.
Mm,
Because when we're all in those situations, we're just thinking, we're just focusing, like we become very tunnel vision, and we're
right.
like, oh my gosh, this obstacle is in the way. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's like, no, let's take a step back, try this way, type of thing.
Yeah,
And I felt like that's what you really helped me kind of change my mindset. And you can clearly see it throughout this whole conversation where it's
yeah.
just like, okay, don't get stuck. Let's see how we can change it so that you can be able to achieve it.
I love it. I feel like that minute of you talking is a testimonial right there. There's testimonials in this whole thing. So it didn't even occur to me until right now. Oh yeah, testimonials. So yeah, love it. Cool. This is a great. This exceeds my expectations, which is, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the best place. Yeah, that's the best place to be. Thank you so much. Are you excited for our workout tomorrow?
I am. I was asking Vito, like, are we all working out together or we're just going to the gym
Yeah,
together?
I know that you have a specific fitness plan, so the one thing that I'm keeping in mind, and you know what, I think we're done here. I'm gonna cut record.
Okay.
I'm super happy with this. Uh, final words. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, all the wonderful stuff. This was amazing. Thank my guests so much for hopping on here. I would love to do this again if you're interested. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Thank
Yes,
you.
yeah.